Walking nowhere. Hello, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. And to those of you around the country that this would be normally a holiday, but with lockdown and what have you, every day is a holiday. So how are you doing? So good to see you. It says we are live, so I feel alive and welcome. Good to see everybody. So glad that you're here. Thank you, moderators. David Berry, good to see you, my friend, and Brian. Grandpa, good to see you. Hello, Susie Q. Good to see you. John as well. David Castle and Pamela Jean and Nina the Mystic. How are you, my dear? Brandy, you're a fine girl. And Darth, how you doing? Carol, great to see you. So good to see y'all. Hello from LA, the city of angels. There we go. Still love that town. I remember back in the day. So invoking favor upon us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. Got a haircut over the weekend. So, hey, you know, feels good to have yourself, the old, cut and feel clean again, so it's good. Hey, Big Al, how you doing? Good to see you. I think you're in Sedona, aren't you? Or in that area? Good to see you. Hey, Kyle, good to see you. Kaylee, hello. Tomorrow, Miss Trina. And looking forward. So, because I have a feeling a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is going to carry over into tomorrow. I am putting together a show, folks. I'm not even going to tell you. It's this book here. Did you see that? And folks, this is just, I have been captivated by this book. It's a small read. I mean, literally in a half hour, but it's so, potent. It has the dynamis, Greek. That's where we get our word dynamite from. It's powerful. And I can assure you, I been around for a while, plan on staying around for a little while longer. But I have never come across something like this. Wow. Let me show you something. I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek of what I'm actually talking about. So, working on this presentation, Baphomet. It is becoming one of the most fascinating, folks. It's literally going to change your entire perception of this image. Now, this image, by the way, is the image of the Knights Templar. This is the Knight Templar's god. That ain't what history has taught us, is it? So, the Cauticus. My wife's a nurse. Marcia Price, she's a nurse. There's many other nurses that are actually a part of this community, and many in the healthcare, in healing people. And this represents healing. Folks, what's really bizarre is that this is Mercury. There it is, dates back thousands and thousands of years. Now, check this out. I just came across this accidentally and I went, it shows how all of us are so much unaware. Now, we're becoming better at it because all of us are finding clues. That's what's so great about a community, a tribe. Every part of the tribe contributes to the overall knowledge. So this is the Archangel Raphael. Yeah. And what's so bizarre about this is that this deity, you got statues being made in your image, erected by another species. You are, for all intent and purposes, a demigod, a goddess, a god. But notice the serpent, the double helix. And what's really interesting, this is out in Sedona, is that she's standing, the earth is split open. And there is another spear that she is standing on. Now, folks, you start putting things together, you go, what's going on here? This is a modern day interpretation. So people come from all over to be next to her. Why? Well, legend is there's healing. Now, if you think that this is just some cockamamie story, then you haven't really studied history. Now, if in my case, where you studied the Bible and then you subsequently studied the history or the backing of the religious beliefs of where everything was, kind of coalescing together, you know that each year by the pool of Shalom, that the angel would come down and she would stir the waters, and whoever was first into the pool would be healed. Now, look at this. Look at the ankh that she's wearing. That's Egyptian. You can see the serpents. The headdress is this. This is in another part of the country. These statues are all over the world. I mean, this is some strange stuff, folks. This is a headdress that she is wearing. You can see that she is also wearing right around her third eye earrings. This is another rendition of the Archangel Raphael. Here, she's holding the ancient Egyptian caucus. Those are Isis's wings. Weird, isn't it? Another one. I mean, these statues are like everywhere. And folks, you can't help but not just get curious as to what is going on here. Here's Hermes, Mercury. This is called the Mercury caucus. You can see Roman, Sumerian, Mesopotamian, Aztec. And when you start seeing this on a deity, and this is where I'm going to break off because this is where we start going down. Folks, this is no rabbit hole. This is a freaking freeway tunnel. It is going to be a fascinating study. I can assure you, I am having a blast putting it together because, yeah, knowledge is coming out. We have entered into a new age, and some call it, the second revival, the golden dawn. What we are finding out is that there is a history that has been literally and purposely wiped away. The famous Hillary Clinton excuse. Well, what do you mean wipe? Yeah, well, they tried to wipe history, but history has a interesting way of biting them in the ass. So, did anyone get? It is a pervasive piece of info to warrant following. A 7P, you have no freaking idea. This is going to blow all of us away. I mean, I know it is. I mean, I was up late last night, up early this morning, putting this together. And folks, it's a very small book. I'll tell you what it is when we get into the study. But yeah. So I was thinking of a sunny day as I was making, actually, it was very cold here in Denver today. It was really cold. So Lynn and I, were baking. And so anyone get the idea what shape was I looking at? Anyone want to take a guess? Okay, we'll move right on along. Got another book, haven't even started reading it yet, but this is History's Vanquished of the goddess Asheroth. And folks, when you go through, this is it, and I'll tell you, I'm just going to let you let a peek. It's literally page after page of history that has been denied through the world religions. They don't want this out. There's good reason why they don't want this out, because it invalidates their whole belief system, their whole hierarchy. And it shows how this thing that we're living in today is an inverted reality. It's a perception of what we think is real, but it's living inside of an illusion. And it gets stranger and stranger and stranger. All right. Want to get into this. So I have this, it's on PDF. I got a copy of the book finally. Copies go for more than what I care to pay for a book. I mean, if you're talking $200, $300, $400 for a book, yeah, you're getting into, the level of rarity books. Hello, Richard. Yes. I'm doing well. Thank you. But I got this one at a really good price. All I got to say is go, if you're a collector of books and you like the esoteric knowledge, the cult, where the occultist begins to see, Abe Books. I'll just give them a big high five. 5 on that one. Seriously, check them out. abebooks.com. Great place. You get some really good deals on some really great material. Now, the reason why I've been wanting to get a printed copy of this book is that, as you're going to see, there are going to be tables in here. And yeah, Abe, yeah, A-B-E, that's right. Abe, I think it's Abe. You'll see it. Put it in a search engine. It'll come up, David. Yeah, VaticanBasementBooks.com. Exactly. All right. So I was reading this, and I know a lot of people who struggle. It seems like they can never get ahead, and there's a reason. The name of this book, and I got a PDF, and it's called The Dark Side of the Moon. It's a complete course in magic and witchcraft by Basil Crouch. This is a great read, folks, and I wanted to take time today to introduce you to this book, because this book can literally change your life in ways that you probably haven't even thought. You see, the demigods, the gods, the goddesses of our ancestors, we can say that it was a manifestation of where their spiritual awakening was at. Or we could say there was foundation to their beliefs to begin with. So that implies that there had to be something. There had to be some physical manifestation that our ancestors saw that validated what today is the world's largest religion, the Abrahamic belief system. And when you're going to see this, I'm going to challenge you as to why would you ever want to believe that system. But anyway, there is a caution. The reader is advised to think carefully before following this book's instructions. I can tell you these rituals work. Anyway, it is most inadvisable for emotionally disturbed persons to attempt to perform the rituals herein. Um, this is called The Dark Side of the Moon. The author goes to say the data in this book is authentic. Many of the ceremonies were undertaken by young female witches and male students of the occult under the supervision of an occult master. The results they established, and which are recorded in this book, can be achieved by anyone, providing that they have nerve, patience, and the ability to carry out the written instructions exactly. And that's where so often many of us screw up, is that you have to pay attention to the instructions. It's just the way we learn. It's how we're initiated. I don't know if you've been initiated. I suspect many of you have. So you have a little basic understanding, and we're going to talk about initiation. The phenomena or magic is the result of certain phase of mind. Nothing is impossible to him who believes. You know, without faith, it is impossible. Think about it. It can only come through practice. The ceremonies help to achieve this much sought after state of mind. And it is also the incantation or rituals. In very rare cases, it can be spontaneously evoked by the subconscious mind. And that's something that I think we're going to get more and more is, remember, we're only 5% consciously aware. Our subconscious mind is occupying 95% of the total capacity of what we could be actually achieving if we could actually become, let's say, 50-50. 50% consciously aware to 50% subconscious. You are a god. It's literally what you will become. You will become a god. And I believe that that is achievable for all of us. Many times it can happen through certain rituals. There can be certain elixirs, certain help that can help achieve a greater state of awareness of your conscious mind. Anyway, however, such spontaneous action cannot be controlled, which is dangerous. Whereas the achievement of necessary phase of mind through ceremony is the result of a disciplined mind that is under control at all times. And the real purpose for rituals is that it's just that it's going to help your mind become focused in discipline. He writes that this book is dedicated to all those who wish to change the pattern of their life for self-betterment. He goes on to say, he says, let me state clearly that I have had no literary training or education, so if at times my words seem crude, please bear with me, and remember that the incidents I relate are taken from the raw facts of life. If I state that a certain ritual will produce specific results, it is because I have actually taken part in a similar ritual which produced like results. The rituals described in this book can be dangerous for the unwary, but if the instructions are faithfully adhered to, then no danger can ensure. True magic works. It produces powerful results because it makes us of a phase of mind that is unknown to the layman. This phase of mind links with and controls powerful esoteric forces. These forces can destroy life and material objects, but if used for the betterment of mankind, they will bring peace and happiness to all who seek them. He goes on to say, I assume those who read this book will do so for one or two reasons, either for the interest it provides or because they wish to become a magician in their own right. To those who wish to do so, I promise you are stepping on a path that knows no end. It is beyond life, beyond death. It is forever. As I said in the title, be aware before you knock on the door, because once you knock, there is no turning back. He says, to those few I say, follow the instructions given and practice. In a short time, you will experience a new force coming into your life. And the study I'm putting together right now, folks, it's going to blow your freaking mind when you see how this occult knowledge, how the masters, they know, it's yeah. Anyway, to you reader, dear reader, I say go to it. Let pure magic fill your life and bring you the peace and joy that it has given me. You will read of things beyond normal understanding, but I will endeavor to give you the facts like experiments, their results, and indications of where to find the true facts. So our first story is going to bring, and these are true stories. You know, the author he's just recanting them. It was a dark, dismal evening and few people abroad in the city. A drizzling, misty rain was keeping most people in by their firesides. She leaned on the low parapet, looking down on the dark, oily, swirling waters. A low sob escaped from her lips as she climbed up on the parapet. Leaning forward, she closed her eyes and began to topple. Suddenly, a firm, strong hand fell upon her shoulder. She struggled lightly, but another hand grasped her other arm, and the owner of the hands bent forward and whispered in her ear, Missy, don't do that. There is a far better way. Strong arms gently lifted her from the parapet and stood her on her feet. Sobbing uncontrollably, she buried her face in his shoulder. He let her cry for a few minutes, then, lifting her face with a finger under her chin, he said, enough now, enough. Dry your eyes, Missy. What you need is a strong drink. Come on, and I will get you that drink, and then we will sort all of this out. He took her by the arm and led her off the bridge and down the streets towards a tavern. Going in, he ordered the brandy for the girl and a whiskey and soda for himself. He let her sip her drink in silence for a while and then said, well now, Missy, what was it all about? She dried her eyes, straightened, and a stray lock of her hair that had fallen over her forehead, and in a low voice commenced her story. My name is Mary, and I lost my job several weeks ago. I live in a basement room, and I'm up to my eyes in debt. My landlady cut off both the gas and electricity in my room long ago. I have been unwell for a while now, and my landlady now says that unless I pay the arrears of rent for the room, she will throw my belongings out into the street at the end of the week. Suddenly the tears came again. After a minute, she continued. This morning, I went to the post office to cash my Social Security check, and coming home, I was mugged by 3 boys. They stole all my money, so I have nothing to buy food with, let alone to pay the rent arrears. I can't face up to my life any longer. It's the end for me. I have no friends now that I am out of work and in need. Isn't it amazing how your friends get very scarce? Yeah, been there, done that. My parents died 4 years ago, killed in a car crash along with my younger sister. I am ill, hungry, and have nowhere to turn, and all I want is to finish it all. Oh, why did you stop me? He didn't answer that question, but said, "Drink up, and we will go and get some supper." Taking her arm in his, he led her from the tavern, and in due course they entered an all-night cafe where he ordered 2 large dinners. Nothing was said until dinner was over. Coffee was produced. Then he said, "Now that you have eaten and are feeling somewhat better, I have a proposition for you. I am a witch, a high priest actually, and I have an important ritual to perform. I need the help of a female, and I'm going to ask you to be that female. Now, let me finish before you answer. Let's say that I can put an end to all your troubles and I can make you rich. I can promise that you will never be short of money again. You can have money, fine clothes, good health. In fact, you can have anything you fancy. Yes, I mean that, anything. Now, what are you prepared to give to obtain all those things? Think about it. You can have whatever your heart desires. What is that worth to you? She did not hesitate. For that, she answered, I would give anything you ask. I will do anything to gain that. She's honest. I think if people were absolute honest, to rise above the mire, yeah. Good, he replied. Come with me, and I will explain just what this ritual entails. They left the cafe arm in arm and walked through the dismal, wet streets to his flat. Entering the flat, he switched on the electric fire and, seating her in a deep, comfortable armchair, he produced a book and placed it in her hands. This is a book about Greek mythology. Turn to the page about the Greek goddess of the moon, Selene. I want you to read about her. Take your time, as I want you to know her well, very well. Don't worry about her twin brother Artemis. It is Selene we are dealing with. You can stay here tonight. There's plenty of room on the settee. That's the couch. I will give you a blanket and you can leave the fire on. I'm off to bed now, so I'll leave you with the book. In the morning, I will explain just what you have to do to gain all you want in the world. So far for now, I bid you good night. The next day, he took her to the cafe for meals, and after dinner, he said, Now to business. This evening, at exactly 10 minutes past 9, I have to perform the ritual that I need your help for. I take it that you now know all about our goddess Selene. At 8:45, I must start the ritual. What you have to do is very simple. Just listen to me, and then at 9 o'clock exactly, you must hand your body over to Selene. At this time, you must say, Selene, I willingly give my body to you to use as you please. In return, please look upon me as a child of earth desperately in need of your powers, Selene. Please give to me all that I wish, and I give you my earthly body. Let this be a covenant between us. Let the ritual commence. I lay my naked body before thee. O goddess, take me, use me. Willingly I surrender my body to you. Mary lay naked on the floor near the fire, where he knelt beside her and started the ritual. Selene, goddess of the moon, huntress of old, who slayed the 7 maidens who would usurp your powers, hearken to me this night. I give unto you this maiden's body. There shall be no sacrifice other than this body, which I give over to your care. Listen unto me, and this is my plea. He produced 5 candles, and lighting them, he placed one at the girl's head. Then, spreading out her arms and legs, he placed a candle at each hand and foot. He laid his naked body on the top of the girl and recited, I am now one with pure mind. I and this maid are immersed in the spirit of fire. We are one with the spirit of life, love, and wisdom, beyond the knowledge of men. I acknowledge this all consuming power and now ease my body into this divine and perfect law. I will affirm the truth behind the ancient gods. I affirm that I am created by divine creatures. Therefore, I am pure in spirit and being. I deny that I have inherited disease, sickness, ignorance, or any mental limitations. I will not deceive myself with thoughts of weakness. O Selene, perish from my world all thoughts of failure. From this time on, I am free of them all. Kissing the girl's breast, eyes, and lips, they became one and whispered, I vibrate with harmony and wholeness. I am now free with the knowledge of all that is good. Selfishness, envy, malice, jealousy, pride, avarice, arrogance, cruelty, hypocrisy, and revenge are no longer a part of my understanding. I am in tune with life. I am in tune with divine spirit. Nothing but divine order shall prevail in my life. So let it be. Prayer will enable me to keep my thoughts pure. He raised up from the girl. She lay as if in a trance. He gathered up the candles, and blowing each one out, he laid them on the girl's stomach for a moment. Then he wrapped them in paper and put them aside. On the next day, he would bury those candles on sacred ground in a churchyard, for it is so written in the book of shadows. In a short time, the girl awoke from the trance-like state. They dressed and went out for supper. They parted then. He gave her a 5-pound note with which she could buy food and began to pay the rent. 2 days later, she spent the last of the 5 pounds at a bingo hall and won 700 pounds. She brought herself a new outfit, left her dull room she applied for, and got a job in a hotel as a receptionist. In less than a week, she had accumulated over 200 pounds in tips. In less than a month, she was driving her own sports car. A year later, she married and now is the owner of a large hotel in a busy market town. The author says, a strange story, but very, very true. Interesting. So let's read about Jason. We read about a female. Let's read about males. It was a cold, wet evening in late September, and I was seated in a comfortable armchair in front of a log fire, listening to the rain lashing out the window. My tabby cat was sitting on my knee, purring loudly and enjoying the warmth. Suddenly, the phone rudely disturbed the peace with its insistent ring. I lifted the receiver, and an urgent voice said, I must see you right away. Hold on a minute. Who are you? I asked. Never mind, said the voice. It's imperative that I see you at once. Sorry, I replied, but I've had a hard day. Can it wait until the morning? No, I tell you, it's urgent, insisted the voice. Well, I'm sorry, I said, but I can't see anyone tonight. You will have to wait until morning. I'm sure it can wait. I was about to hang up the phone when the voice loudly exclaimed the mystic's word, Sib Sai Gara. Roughly translated, Sib Sai Gara means covenant of the moon. Words, secret words. Who told you about that word? I asked. The voice said, That doesn't matter. I must see you now. So I complied, as there was nothing else I could do after hearing the esoteric word of the angels. The voice belonged to a young woman. She came out of the storm wet and breathless. I am really sorry to bother you, she said, but it is a matter of life and death. It concerns a great friend of mine, a woman in dire straits, and unless something is done, she will kill herself. And just what am I supposed to do about that? I asked. Save her, the woman replied. Well, I said, that would seem a rather tall order, but suppose you tell me just what the trouble is, then maybe I might be able to help a little. A little, she cried. You know more about the dark side of witchcraft than anyone I know of. And if you can't help her, you must know who can. I put the kettle on, and over a cup of tea, the story unfolded. My friend is married, but her husband has walked out, leaving her with huge debts. She has no means of support whatsoever, not even money for food. There is a mortgage to be paid, and the bank will foreclose on the house unless payment is forthcoming. Her husband has told her that he cannot support both the girl he is with and the mortgage repayment. So she will have to find somewhere else to live. Yeah, I know what some of you are thinking. Yeah, still happens, huh? It is a pity, but that is how he feels. My friend is contemplating suicide. Please, please help her. The people who gave me that password have told me that you can help her. So I beg of you. Let me think a moment, he said. I took out my diary and turned to a certain page. Tell your friend I can help her, but she must be prepared to do as I ask. In 4 days' time, she will have to help me with a particular project. In the meantime, I shall see the bank on her behalf, get them to withhold foreclosure for a couple of weeks. I shall see other people on her behalf too. Tell her to stop worrying, as everything will be all right. I showed my visitor the door, bidding her a good night, and I returned to my seat by the fire. Jason was a rich man, a very rich man. Jason lived in a large house set in its own vast grounds on the edge of town. He employed 2 gardeners, a cook, 3 maids, and because his wife was an invalid, he employed an elderly woman as a companion to comfort her at all times. He drove a large car and gave money to charity. He was well liked by all who came into contact with him. But then Jason was a magician who practiced black magic. At least once a month, when the moon was full, Jason held a party, and many cars could be seen drawing up to his house. Of course, it was rumored in the town that strange things took place at these parties. Let me just say a little side note. These parties happen. They happen more frequently than most people have any idea about. Anyway, we'll talk more. Many wild yarns were put about the townfolk, but very few knew the truth. It was a Sunday afternoon when Jason called on Doreen, the woman who needed help because her husband had left her. Plans were laid for a ritual to take place on Monday afternoon. This is an account of that ritual. Jason drew a large circle on the floor. It was a double circle. And I'll show you, many of you, if you go back, and I've drawn out these circles and showed you what they should look like, but we'll get to that in a second. In between the circles, he laid pieces of paper on which many strange names were inscribed. And these are sigils. They can be names. Typically, you want to have them represent exactly what you're going to be asking the gods or the goddesses for. Anyway, he told Doreen to remove her clothes, and to step into the circle. Many people ask me about the favor ritual, that if you don't have a copy of it, you should get it. It works. But part of that ritual does require that there be no clothes, and there's good reason for that. He warned her that on no account must she step out of the circle until he gave her permission. She was told to kneel with her hands, and her hands were bound behind her back with a red cord. 2 more cords were produced. One was tied around her left leg, midway between her hip and knee. The other was knotted tightly around her right ankle. All the cords were tied so that the flow of blood was restricted. The ritual proceeded. First, Jason asked her if she would willingly become the bride of Horus. She consented and was blindfolded. Jason laid her gently on the floor, then lighting 5 candles, he placed them around her, one at her head, one at each foot, and at each shoulder. By this time, Doreen was growing faint due to the restricted blood flow around her body. Jason knelt by her side, saying, "Listen to me. Listen to me. Repeat after me. Horus, radiant son of heaven, pervade this body. Cover me with your armor of light. Fight for me in the cause of freedom. Heal my spirit. Comfort my wounds. Revive me when I fall. To you I give my body. Take me, use me, and in return, reward me." He laid on her, and kissing her, they became one. After a while, he arose and untied the cords. In a short time, she revived, and then he made her kneel in the center of the circle once more. Taking off the blindfold, he knelt in front of her and kissed her breast and then her lips, saying, "Blessed be your breast that feed the infant child. Blessed be your lips that form the words of prayer. Now repeat after me. Homage to you, Lord Horus, you who are more powerful than all the heavenly beings. You are more glorious than the gods of Anu. Grant unto me a pathway wherein I may walk in peace, for I am now true unto you. I will not wittingly speak of lies, nor will I deceive you. Each day I will light unto you a white candle, and when lighting it, I will pray unto you, saying, O Horus, mighty God of old, I, your earthly bride, from the realms of mortals, salute you." Jason then seized her by the hair and forced her head into the floor, and he took a whip composed of leather lashes and struck her hard across the shoulder. As she began to cry, he said, "To be the bride of Horus, you must be humble. To learn, you must suffer." He struck her 7 times, then left her lying in the floor while he began to dissemble the circle. Finally, he raised her up, giving her time to dry her eyes. He said, "Now blow out the candles, saying, 'Blessed be each time you do so.'" Doreen did as he asked, and then Jason took her in his arms and said, "Tomorrow afternoon, at 3:15 exactly, I shall call and we will go to bed. You will give yourself to me in the name of Horus. It must be exactly 3:15 exactly. After that, you will be free, and I will not see you again unless you need me. After tomorrow, you are free to go your way. After tomorrow, you will be under no obligation to me or any other person." The following day, she met him that took place of the ritual, and they duly parted, each going their own way. On the day after that, Wednesday, she was asked if she would like to join a syndicate that was forming to enter a football pool. She took one share, and the syndicate won several £1,000s the same weekend. The following Wednesday, she received her check for the £7,000 that was her share of the pool. And on Saturday, her husband returned, having quarreled with his mistress. This woman's got a heart of gold. During the next few days, her husband was offered and accepted a well-paid post with an engineering firm. It was only a matter of weeks before he was promoted, and he is now the manager of that company. Doreen invested some of her money in a dressmaking firm. She is now the owner of a shop retailing the dresses from the factory she half owns. Such is the power of black magic. It can be used to obtain any result. In this case of the mind being far more powerful than generally known by the uninitiated, excuse me. As the author said, this is a very strange story. Now, there's the story of Rebecca, which is just another one that just blows. Yeah. What I want to get to is the author here really goes into each one of these cases that he is writing about. What happened, how it happened, why it happened. He gets in, for instance, in preparing. And let me just stop here. There was a time when we as a species believed not in a singular God. There was kind of the top of the pyramid, but in the hierarchy, there were many gods, many goddesses. They were called the immortals. Now, mortal man, woman, we will be immortal, but we share a unique position in this plane. But because modern culture has replaced magic with technology, what it has done is that technology does not openly worship or in covenant with no deity that we know of. It may be one we know of, but it doesn't speak of it. And we talk about this a lot on this channel. You know, when you've got nearly 7 billion people tied to something, that is powerful worship. Whatever holds your attention, that is where your devotion lies. So there was a time when these gods and goddesses lived. There is a book, if you want it, this is the dictionary of all the gods and goddesses. Because if you're going to be successful in magic, and we all perform it, you know, religion is magic. You're invoking prayers to an unseen deity. That's magic, folks. You are literally invoking these names. These gods are still here. I am convinced they haven't left. And when a mortal who is of the immortal class calls upon one of these gods, and you should only call on one, very dangerous to get more than one involved because you don't know the complete hierarchy. I want to show this to everybody. This is why I don't believe in organized religion. This is why I believe that the religions today have purposely tried to erase the true history and tried to replace it with a false demigod. The God of the Bible is a false God. How do I know this? Well, hell, folks, I don't know. Let's see. Here's Christianity, right? And, well, you can see it's a new kid on the block. Look at Islam. These are all modern day gods. Folks, we got records that go back nearly 5,000 BCE. So when I hear this nonsense, look at the Aboriginals. They have the longest known pantheon of the gods. I mean, every other religion behind it is a Johnny-come-lately. And so I want all of you who are in this Abrahamic curse to get your head right. You are under a spell. It's a magical spell. It's designed that way. That's why the Kabbalah is around. It's all written in code. key powerful words, phrases. I mean, how do you defend a religion that can't go back past the turn of the modern era? Why? They tried to jump onto the Hebrews. Hebrews said, get the hell out of here. This is my point. We've just unfortunately hooked our wagon up to a bad set of horses. Deal with it. And so this is a great book. Again, it's on a PDF. Get to know these gods. They're here. You can call them aliens. We could call them anything you like on that. I do have a sense, though, as we continue to go back to our book, and I don't want to make this, but these are gods that once you adapt to one, you're going to find that things can get very interesting, and not in a bad way, unless you call on a bad one. I mean, it's very clear that all of these deities, these demigods, these aliens, these like spirit beings, they have the not exactly the same like us, but we are of the same class. And we all happen to be immortals. If they can catch your mind and limit your thinking to a set dogma or doctrine, you're going to have to get rid of it. And it's not easy. It can take a decade to get it out. But once it does get out, you can find out that it's not worship. None of these deities that I have found want worship. It's companionship. A lot of time it's recognition. You know, I have a natural affinity for Lilith. And I would say subsequently with Aphrodite. It's just something that's very natural to me. And let me just read this. In all forms of ritual magic, it is customary for the participants to wear robes. Now, I have some. In the beginning, a simple white robe, like a monk's habit in style, will suffice. My first robe was made from a white bedsheet. This robe will act as insulation from thought forces that may be about. Human thoughts are electric in nature and can be directed by will. The primary object of ritual magic is for the participant to attract the energies that are related to the gods and goddesses. These energies can then be directed to obtain favorable results. The would-be magician should decide which pantheon of gods he or she is going to work under. Yeah, work under. Folks, we're all in apprenticeships. We all need tutors. And there's some time when you will reach here on the physical earth where you won't be able to get to that knowledge, and these forces will be there. There are many deities to choose from, but it is advisable to choose just one. Remember the old adage, between two stools, one falls to the ground. There follows a list of the two most popular pantheons used today. Of course, there are other systems, such as the Solomonic one of old. I taught you on that. The Kabbalah is still widely used, but it is not thought to be one of the best. Very key, we remember that. Old-time magicians used it, and you can read about that, the Golden Dawn, but there are a few results to recommend it. This must all be taken as my personal view, but I advise you that you should choose from the Roman, Greek, and Egyptian pantheons, as this is where results are readily obtained. And you can see in here the tables that he has, the Greek or Roman gods, Adonis, Apollo, the symbol, and the intentions. Apollo, Adonis, to create harmony, to gain luck, peace, and money, to regain youth and properties. You see, what I have is the fourth pinnacle of Jupiter up here. It's naturally drawn to it. Associated with the sun is the frog. Isn't it odd? We just studied this last week. Diana, her day is Monday. Planetary demon is Lucifer. In this is she's good to help you assist on astral travel, knowledge seeking, dreams, theft, safe journeys. And the theft on that is if something been stolen from you. Yeah, you can actually send, let me just share with this, and it's getting late and we'll pick up here probably most likely on Wednesday. Let me tell you something that I knew. I knew that I could send angels out at any time and to carry out tasks. I learned that in Christianity, but it is true. Hi, Henry. What do you say? I thought I sent that. Okay. Anyway, as he says, here's the deal. When I see these type of instructions, they're not foreign to me. I was taught this knowledge as a practicing Christian, charismatic, Pentecostal, as they would say, but nevertheless, true. So I guess the question for me is that this isn't that strange. It really isn't. It's pretty easy, actually. So I don't know if it's everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, it's interesting. So I hope you enjoyed it. I see it's almost time for me to let this go. And I tell you what, YouTube is jacking with our channel again. But they always do that. I have made the decision as well to demonetize the channel. Don't need it. And it's a pain in the ass for y'all. And so we're going to continue and we're going to learn. I'm just going to tell you going forward, we're going to begin to talk to these deities. They're there. They exist. Many of you have it already. There are many who invoke the archangels. There are many belief systems of engaging these. And even out of when I came out of Christianity, one of the things that I've found out in the book of Hebrews, that all angels are sent as ministering spirits to the service of us. Now, that's powerful. And that's embedded in a book that's very difficult for many people to decipher because, anyway, of the whole mantra. They do exist. Absolutely, Pamela. Thank you, David Barry. You're great. David is a quiet guy. I'm seeing he's really expanding on his work. Y'all need to. I like that. Shante, Shante, Shante. Yes. And by the way, happy birthday, Brian. Was missed out on that. So, P, we're going to get into the demon and the angels. Remember, demons equal angels. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. All demons are the divine ones. But they had to perverse this. They had to do this. Now, there is a point. Absolute evil does not exist. Someone pointed out last week, and I thought it was very interesting. I think it's Isaiah 45, where the God of the Bible says, I created evil. What? I know we're about to end here, but when you just think about that, You go, what? So you created all this mess. And now you want to kick my ass because I didn't comply to what you said, but you started this madness. So anyway, we're going to learn. We're going to get more in this book. If you want it, get it. I'll send it to you. And I hope some of you start realizing that you are a very powerful magician. You are a immortal. You possess so much power. Whether you want to call yourself an initiate, an adept, a priestess, a witch, a wizard, they're just names. They're really nothing more than an elevated mind that opens itself up to all the possibilities. And that's what makes us unique. All right, folks. Thank y'all. Who am I to have power? Well, beloved abstract, to create. And all around you, your style that you wear, how you fix your hair, that is divine, madam. That makes you a creative, immortal being. It's fabulous. We're going to get into, and I think many of you already have, I found a way that we're going to be able to do this. We're really going to get into sex magic. And we're going to take the taboo off of it. You're going to learn about it. You're going to learn something that you had no idea about. Thank you, David Barry. I love you. But we're going to do it. And we're going to do it in a way, it's going to be, you could almost say we're like taking a class in one of the mystery schools, because that's what we're really going to be doing. And if we can start developing our telepathy and add it to this, woo, I'm telling you, you will become a god or a goddess in this lifetime. I think it's the true way of ascension. Why do I say that? Because I practice it in the last time, and there is a pathway. Yeah. Well, now, Peter, that's just that doesn't work that way. You see, but that's something I have to be prepared for, because a lot of people, when they hear the word magic and sex together, they have a perverted, inverted view of what it actually is. And that's okay. I mean, we're all ignorant at one time. But you see, they've designed ignorance to be the mainstay. And so immediately when you start thinking, all the weird thoughts to what sex magic is, yeah. And I can guarantee you this, very few know what true sex magic is, but you're going to find something out. We're going to be studying the tetrahedrogram. And in the tetrahedrogram, you guessed it, it's really all about sex magic. So go and look at the tetrahedrogram and now start contemplating that image. Get it out, right? You all know the one. Yeah. We're going to find out what the true Satan is, the true Eve, the true Adam, what the true serpent is. And yeah, it's going to be wild. Hello, Gary Baxter. How are you doing? Thank you, Julie. The cross in the point X. Okay. All right. We'll break it down on the macro level. Yeah. And it's very, let me tell you, it's how they teach this. There was a time when I was in circles that when you get the invite, it's a very strange feeling the first time you immerse yourself in one of these ceremonies. It's it's very different. And there's a lot more out there that practice than what you can even imagine. So I'm going to do my part. I'll share the experience I had personally, and then we're going to add to that by learning. We are in charge. That's the problem, Peter. The thing about it is, and you think about it, the world worships a God of chaos and death. Listen, the Old Testament God is the God of chaos, is the God of death. And when you merge that into the modern day belief systems, that is exactly what we have reaped as a species for the last 2,000 years. Nothing but chaos and death. So that's my opening argument. Why would you want to continue in a system that has only brought chaos and death? What was the card today? The card today was the square. So anyway, all right, folks, I went way over. Thank you. Man creates chaos, yes, but I will say this. Understand, B3, we are like children. We're learning. And the examples that we have been given, we emulate. Just saying. Okay. Bye, y'all. See you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. And the rest of us who are off, enjoy the day as well. All right. Bye-bye.